Hi everybody, I'm Terry Stiles. Welcome to Oxford News This Week and welcome to 2022. The township supervisor is pushing for a hospital and the prosecutor takes the case personal. All that and more, the Oxford News begins right now. Well, thanks to the Oxford Township Supervisor Jack Curtis, the state of Michigan is again looking into the proposal for a hospital in Oxford. On November 30th, when Governor Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist asked Curtis how they could help after the high school shooting, Curtis responded that Oxford needs a hospital. The closest hospital is a 30-minute ride from here, and to Curtis, that is unacceptable. The governor was all ears when Curtis explained that after the planned unit development documents were approved in September of 2019, the state refused to issue Beaumont's request for a certificate of need from the state, citing lack of population density as the reason. However, Curtis expressed to the governor that although Oxford proper is 20,000 residents strong, within a 5-mile radius of the epicenter, there's more than 150,000 people, and a half-hour ride to the hospital is unacceptable. In the wake of the school shooting, restarting the hospital discussion is a top priority for Curtis, and after talking with the governor, lieutenant governor, congresswomen, and senators, Curtis is hopeful that Beaumont will get its certificate of need. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen Mcdonald has charged James and Jennifer Crumbly with involuntary manslaughter after their 15-year-old son was accused of the November 30 Oxford High School shooting, killing 4 and injuring 7. Mcdonald says she is getting a pushback from her office over the decision, but after uncovering a number of details that she felt showed the parents' actions were criminally negligent, she felt charges were necessary. As a parent herself, Mcdonald said the case is personal. The Oxford Village Council agreed that nearly $1 million in funds collected by the Oxford Bank and Genesis Credit Union for the victims of the high school shooting will be entrusted to a nonprofit National Compassion Fund. Council, along with Township Supervisor Jack Curtis, agreed the municipalities should trust NCF, which is a 501c3 affiliated with the National Center for Victims of Crime and people directly affected by like events. A local public steering committee will filter and decide how the funds will be distributed. Those funds at the Oxford Bank and the Credit Union will be collected until January 15th. In addition, the council also unanimously passed a resolution honoring the victims and first responders of that November 30th event. Some good news for the school district. Oxford is getting a new member in the district thanks to the community of Clarkston. Sheriff Bouchard has introduced a 10-month-old, I think it's 10-week-old, King Charles Cavalier as one of 6 comfort dogs that are part of Oakland County Sheriff Department. The little one has been named Oxford and will soon give comfort to any students who needs it. Welcome, Oxford. After several years of discussions, the Oxford Village Council modified its list of rental inspection criteria, which has 12 requirements designed to establish a baseline of safety. The purpose of the registration is so public safety, like law enforcement and fire, are aware of where renters might be. Landlords who do not register would be sanctioned. A first reading of the registration ordinance will be at the January Oxford Village meeting. That's it for Oxford News This Week, but don't go away because Dave Kenny with Auto Talk and Science in the News will be next, and Joe will be back with sports. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from Automotive News. In our first story, Ford Motor Company is recalling nearly 185,000 F-150 vehicles from the 2021 to 2022 model years because the drive shaft, which transfers torque to other parts of the vehicle, may become fractured. In a safety recall report filed with NHTSA, the automaker said heat and noise insulators on the underbody of the vehicle could loosen and make contact with the aluminum drive shaft, which could damage it. A compromised drive shaft could cause a loss of drive power and increase the risk of a crash, Ford said. A broken drive shaft dragging on the ground may interfere with wheels turning properly, which could lead to a loss of vehicle control. Ford said dealers will inspect and repair the drive shaft if needed and fully attach underbody insulators. The automaker said owner notification letters were expected to be mailed by January 31st. As of December 7th, Ford had received 27 reports of fractured aluminum drive shafts possibly related to sagging underbody insulators on the F-150s, the automaker said. And in our next story, Intel Corporation autonomous driving unit Mobileye is piloting a robo-taxi service in Paris that's ferrying employees of one of the French capital's most famous department stores to work. The challenges of navigating Parisian traffic will help speed up the development of Mobileye's self-driving system, said Johan Jungwirth, a company vice president. It will certainly help us to get feedback from riders and experience in one of the most complex driving environments, he said. It's even crazier than New York City, he said. Mobileye and its competitors must push forward with pilot programs that show the technology's reliability and help secure the approval of regulators if they are going to reach their goal of making self-driving vehicles available to a mass market. The Intel unit also needs to garner attention and show progress as it works towards an initial public offering next year. Mobileye is working with Paris Metro operator RATP to let employees of Galeries Lafayette hail a robo-taxi from anywhere in the city using the Move It app. It will be the first time Mobileye is using Move It's technology after Intel acquired the mobility startup for about $900 million in 2020. The vehicles in the Paris program will include a safety driver behind the wheel for the time being. Intel and Mobileye are testing a self-driving car fleet without passengers in Munich and have announced plans to launch pilot programs in Detroit and Tokyo. Full commercial deployments of robotaxis and robo-shuttles will start at the latest in 2023, according to Jungwirth. The majority of testing and development activity for autonomous vehicles has been concentrated in the U.S., particularly in the San Francisco Bay Area. But the race to deploy commercialized ride-hailing fleets of robotaxis has spread to European countries as governments there have become more proactive in considering regulation, a key hurdle in their adoption. Ford Motor Company and Volkswagen-backed Argo AI are conducting pilots in major European cities. Bloomberg NEF projects that robotaxi fleets in Europe, excluding the UK, will grow to 3.5 million vehicles by 2040. In the US, by comparison, the forecast is for a fleet of 6.8 million by 2040. GM and France are accelerating work to set up rules that would permit automated vehicles to mix with regular traffic, according to Mobileye. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Sports and More with Joseph Calhoun. The Wildcat Bowling program kicked off the 21-22 season at Collier Lanes versus the Southfield Warriors. According to Coach cat Claude Jr. Lafnir, the crowd was rather large, and he also went on to say that everyone's hearts were filled with emotion when we returned to competition after the attack on November 30th. The boys' varsity team split Baker games and then won 7 out of 10 matches to win 23.5 to 6.5. Thrilling the crowd was junior Jason Pasline in Game 1. Jason tossed 10 strikes en route to a 276 game that included 8 strikes in a row. Also bowling well for the Wildcats was junior Tommy Mace, who rolled games of 217 and 210. The girls had a thrilling match but fell short, losing 16 to 14. They started well, winning Baker Game 1, 173 to 130, then struggled in Game 2, losing 130 to 128, but won the Baker totals 301 to 260. Armed with a 6-4 lead, the Cats never got rolling in the match play. They were only able to win 4 out of 10 matches. Winning 2 matches for Oxford was senior Ashley Bales. Also winning matches was junior Olivia Hoffman and junior Macy Strevel. I'm Joseph Calhoun, and that's the sports.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. The James Webb Space Telescope has finally launched. After a long string of delays and budget overruns, the biggest space telescope ever is on its way to begin unraveling some of the toughest mysteries of the cosmos. After its launch on an Ariane 5 rocket from French Guiana, the spacecraft is heading to a gravitationally stable location called a Lagrange point. In this case, the Lagrange point, called L2, that orbits the Sun about 1.5 million kilometers beyond Earth. This distance from the Sun will help ensure that the instruments aboard the telescope stay cold, a necessity for them to capture their clear images. The massive telescope was carefully folded to fit inside the rocket it launched on, and during its first week in space, it will slowly unfurl. Its huge mirror, made up of 18 gold-plated beryllium hexagons, will unfold along with 5 razor-thin aluminum-coated layers of a specialized polymer film called Kapton, which will serve as a heat shield to block light from the Sun, Earth, and Moon in order to keep the telescope cool. Without this shield, the heat absorbed and re-radiated by the observatory would be enough to ruin its pictures of the universe. Once the telescope is fully deployed, its operators will turn on the various electronics and scientific instruments and test them. At the end of January, the telescope will reach L2, where operators will continue calibrating its instruments for an additional 5 months or so, after which it will, if all goes well, it will begin its science mission. That mission has 4 main pillars encompassing many of the most pressing questions in astronomy. To accomplish these goals, it will observe in infrared frequencies, not using the visible and ultraviolet light that the Hubble Space Telescope includes in its repertoire. Its huge mirror will allow it to see objects that are between 10 and 100 times fainter than what the Hubble can spot, and in detail, 10 times more precise. That will enable it to glimpse stars and galaxies located up to 13.6 billion light years away to accomplish the first of the mission's 4 pillars. Figuring out the first stars and galaxies and how they formed in the hundreds of millions of years after the Big Bang. The second pillar is to study the formation and evolution of galaxies over time, from the cosmic chaos of the early universe to the relatively peaceful galaxies that we see today. This is not only important for understanding the history of the universe, but also for determining its large-scale structure. Astronomers will be able to use the James Webb Space Telescope to probe the dark matter content and movement of distant galaxies, which could help solve the question of how fast the universe is expanding and what its ultimate fate may be. The third pillar of the James Webb Telescope science is to understanding how stars and the planetary systems around them form, allowing us to compare our solar system with the countless others across the universe. Finally, the telescope will point towards exoplanets orbiting distant stars to peer through their atmospheres and look for potential signs of alien life. The observing time for the first year of operations has already been allotted, and if all goes well, the spacecraft's fuel reserves should allow it at least 5.5 years of investigating the cosmos from the first stars to now. And recently they said that period could extend out to 10 years. Well, that's it for Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
Well, that's it for your Oxford News this week. I'm hoping that Jamie will be back next week. He's dealing with a bit of health issues. And I want to mention to you, if you're searching for a way to dispose of your real Christmas tree, help the community by taking it to Seymour Lake Park. Once again, through January, the Parks and Rec Department carved out a drop site next to the tennis courts. The trees will be chewed up and used for mulch at the park. All trees must be clean with no artificial materials on them. No artificial trees, please. Only real ones will be accepted. Again, that's at Seymour Lake Park. Also, if you want to catch more of these stories, you can catch them on, let's see, the Charter Township of Oxford Facebook page or the Oxford Leader newspaper, or you can also catch some of the stories. We'll have them on our community access on Charter Channel 191, AT&T Channel 99, our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and OCCTV.org. You can also get whatever programming you want from us on those sites. I'm Terry Stiles. Thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year.